No, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see
Yes,
it.
sir, visible.
Now,
Visible, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, environmental pollution. And uh, as we are aware that in today's scenario, pollution is a major problem. Before moving into specific pollution, first let us see the types of pollution. Ma'am, whether slide is visible now?
Yes.
Okay, okay. As types of pollution, as we are familiar that air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution is familiar to us. And apart from that, soil pollution in specific, and nuclear pollution, noise pollution, thermal pollution, and marine pollutions are giving serious threat in recent days. Uh, so, in this session, we shall focus on all those pollutions. As air pollution, as we are familiar that in today's in our country, Delhi is the most affected area. That is due to burning of agriculture residues in and around Haryana, Punjab. As we are also familiar that the largest production of wheat is in Haryana and Punjab. So, what are the steps we can carry forward to remove air pollution? Studies are still under progress. Regarding air pollution control, as our institution plays a predominant role, as we have a farm. In our farm, pyrolyzer is there, and in specific, that pyrolyzer will decompose all the leaves and agricultural residues. And this methodology, this pyrolyzer methodology, is even practicing in Haryana and Punjab for removing all residues. And in connection with that, FX Engineering College is funded with 1 crore amount from Department of Science and Technology for improving the research in the area of pyrolyzer based biomass residue removal. And while considering air pollution, we should be familiar about the structure of atmosphere, where in this slide it is clearly visible. The layers were shown. Earth, above the layer is a troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and thermosphere. And the composition of dry air is
Your slide is not changing, sir.
okay, ma'am. Okay. Ma'am, now slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, now in this slide we can see the composition of dry air in volume is mentioned as nitrogen 78%, oxygen 20.9%, and carbon dioxide inert in terms of 0.035, and the rest of the gases are highlighted. So, as definition of air pollution, we might be familiar, where in simple, in specific, it may be represented as the composition of dust, smoke, fumes, and radioactive elements which are in the form of gases in atmosphere causes air pollution. Now, sources of air pollution, as this air pollution source is classified as natural and anthropogenic. In terms of natural, it is due to volcanic eruption, forest fire, sea salt sprays, and biological decay, pollen grains, and photochemical oxidations. And all those factors are due to natural reasons. And in terms of anthropogenic, it is due to thermal power plant vehicular emission and industrial units. As we all are familiar about these sources, air pollution causes due to natural calamity and due to industrial sources or vehicular sources. So with this, we shall move on to next effects of air pollution. And this slide clearly highlights sources of emissions of air pollutants, and the major sources are through agriculture, and uh, the blue color highlights that industry pollution, industry root causing for pollution is 52%, and the rest of the terms are due to transportation, consumer and commercial product, and commercial and residential heating. And next image, uh, how pollutants are emitted. It is clearly highlighted through volcanoes, lighting, natural, and through spilling of fertilizer, livestock, so on, so are through living sources, and in other term, non-living sources are through airplanes, mobile, and vehicular emissions. So these are the root causes. And in specific classification of air pollutants, classifications are based on primary pollutant, secondary pollutants, and primary pollutant compositions are carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, and in terms of secondary pollutants are smog and ozone. And in this table, the criteria of pollutants are clearly highlighted. Some of the important gases are nitrogen dioxide and ozone, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, lead. All these sources are through, as we are using a lot of electronic equipments, and emissions are through those electronic equipments, such as usage of mobile phones, usage of refrigerations. These are the root causes for emitting pollutant, and their corresponding sources were given, such as burning fuel and vehicular emission and human activity and refrigeration, lead batteries, paints. These are the root cause for pollutant emission. And considering air pollution, indoor air pollution is one of the predominant source, and in this case, this image clearly gives the idea on indoor air pollutant, where chemicals released from modern buildings, combustion gases, and animals, falling of hairs from animals, and chemical fumes from paints, solvents, and then bacteria in floor, and carbon monoxide emission from vehicle. So a typical example of a household indoor air pollutant emissions were highlighted in this image. And now, effects of air pollution. Effects are due to human health, animals, plants, materials, and environment. And image highlights which are the parts which is being affected through air pollution, as lungs get affected, eyes get irritated, and respiratory tract will get infected. That leads to asthma, fever, so on. So, considering plants, the respective effects of air pollution are those toxic pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide. Those pollutants enter into stomata of leaf, and they destroy chlorophyll and affect photosynthesis process. And, typical images were shown how leaves get affected due to air pollution. And as a real-time example, we can see in areas of Talayattur, which is due to Sankar Cement's emission. Those leaves in and around are getting affected. Now, corresponding injuries were highlighted: light injury, moderate injury, heavy injury in terms of damages for leaves. Now, effect on animals and materials. As animals are getting affected due to air pollution and effect on environment. Environmental effect getting affected due to air pollutions are uh, such as visibility is blocked and chlorofluorocarbons emission that leads to ozone depletion and global causing global warming. These are the direct effect on environment. Now, considering national ambient air quality standard, so there are certain air quality standard measures which is to be followed for normal life. That is highlighted in this slide, where pollutants are sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, lead, carbon monoxide, and their corresponding industrial value, residential value, and sensitive values are highlighted. Control of air pollution. So, how can we control air pollution? By minimizing certain measures such as proper air pollution control device in industries, using low sulfur coal, using mass transport system such as introducing bicycles, shifting up less polluting fuel, and then minimal usage of firecrackers during Diwali and other occasions. And in this case, we should be aware of the pollution controlling devices. So, in industrial sector and in some public buildings, cyclone separators, bag house filters are used for controlling the pollutants. Pollutants such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and lead, so on. So, in this slide, national air quality monitoring programs. So, awareness based on air quality monitoring is given through various programs, and it is being supported by Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board. So far, we have seen air pollution. Now, let us move on to water pollution. And air, water, and land are the common pollutions which is affecting the environment. And in this case, let us have a idea about water pollution. Pollution sources are identified as point source and non-point sources. In this case, point sources are the sources which are inspecific, such as injection wells, industrial sources, and discharge of sewage. These are point sources, and the sources considering under non-point sources are diffused across a broad area, and their contamination cannot be traced to a single discharge unit. Example, we can say spilling of fertilizers in agricultural land, spilling of oil and grease, and spilling of paints in construction sites. So these are the examples of non-point sources. We cannot predict those sources. It may happen based on change in our condition. Now, surface water pollution. Surface water pollution major factors were sewage, industrial effluent, synthetic detergents, agrochemicals, oil, waste heat. So these are surface water pollutants. And among the waste, domestic sewage plays a predominant role, and proper treatment is essential to rectify domestic sewage unit. And in Tirunelveli, natural sewage effluent treatment is predominant, and it received greatest appreciation around Tamil Nadu, where in our area in Tirunelveli, 8 special ponds were constructed, and the wastewater collected from entire Tirunelveli city has been treated, and it is passed on to uh, passed on for agricultural usage. It is not directly linked with Tamarabharani river, but meanwhile treated water is supplied for irrigation purpose. And considering industrial effluents, apart from municipal sewage waste, industrial effluents are one of the major causes for pollution. And in this case, the components, the metals affecting the river basins are chromium, mercury, lead, copper, cadmium. So these are the non-met. These are the metallic minerals compounds which are threat to rivers. And considering synthetic detergent and oils, these are next components which naturally pollute the water sources and which is to be reduced in usage, such as washing clothes in and around river area, then usage of soaps, oil spilling, and dumping of municipal solid wastes. So these are the components which are causing water pollution. Considering agricultural runoff, in this case, pesticides, usage of fertilizer, pesticides naturally will be washed away, and that is directly connected to river basin, and which will affect the river where drinking water is collected from those runoff. So precaution measures is to be followed. As per standard procedures, all filtrations should be practiced. And next level of pollution considering water is groundwater pollution. And in this case, as we are in Charan Mahadevi, as Pattamade is expert in bringing out mats, and in making mats, preparing mats, they are using various dye components, and all those dye components are settled down in ground layer, groundwater table. So naturally, with those textile based dyes, the groundwater is getting polluted in and around Patmade area. Okay. Now, regarding fluoride poisoning, as image is clear that regarding fluoride poisoning, we can give an example that in Dharmaburi area, the water is containing high composition of fluoride content, and that naturally affect uh, calcium rich components, such as it will affect bones, it will affect teeth. Uh, the image clearly shows fluoride poisoning. And now, arsenic poisoning. Even in Dharmaburi, the same problem occurs, and some of the examples regarding arsenic poisoning poisons are have been seen in and around West Bengal zones. Okay. And their respective effects were depletion of dissolved oxygen, where this fluoride content, arsenic content, when it is mixed with runoff, it will naturally causes eutrophication, where eutrophication will leads to supply of NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium in largest quantity, and based on that, vegetation growth in and around the river basin is getting excess. Then, so growth of excess vegetation in rivers will make low dissolved oxygen content and causes rise in chemical oxygen demand value, biological oxygen demand value, and reduces the dissolved oxygen content. So these are the root causes for depletion of oxygen in river zone. If oxygen content in river is getting reduced, then naturally aquatic living such as fish and other aquatic lives are getting suffered due to lack of oxygen. And industrial spilling will give a root cause for pathogen spread, where microbes uh, are getting nutrition based on industrial wastes that will directly affect physiochemical property of a river. And considering biomagnification, the image highlights how fish is being eaten by birds, and it is a cycle where water producer and then other microbial components, all those factors are responsible for forming a biological magnification. So when this balance is maintained, there will be a proper balance for biomagnification. And the components which supporting biomagnifications are pesticides, lead, petrochemical, chlorinated solvents, other heavy metals. So when excess quantity of all those components such as pesticide, lead are enforced into river or water body, then naturally biomagnification is getting collapsed, and that leads to water pollution. Now, case study of vultures. As nowadays we cannot see vultures in and around South India. So am I right? So in 20 years back, uh, where vultures are more often visible, but in recent days the quantum of birds regarding vultures are reduced due to this collapse in their life cycle. One of the main reasons is that veterinary use of the drug dichlorphenate. This is the one of the major factor where this drug is being spilled in and around cattle farms, and vultures are directly affected by those drugs, and that is the root cause for reduction in numbers of vultures. And other diseases based on water or water pollutions are blue bay syndrome and Minamata diseases, and it is first detected in 1956. And Itai diseases, ouch, it is otherwise called as ouch sickness. It is uh, uh, first it is identified in Japan in 1912. So now we are discussing about some of the water-based uh, pollutants which are affecting living being. And in this case, control of water pollution, treatment of water before leaving in water. So when we have to move on for control of water pollution, a proper measure should be practiced before spilling of waste materials. And in this case, treatment of water before leaving in water bodies, as Tirunelveli is the largest area where one of the largest corporation excess amount of sewage is collected and properly it is treated, and then it is supplied to irrigation based, and then restoration of polluted water bodies, and proper action plan for treating Tamrabarani river is essential, and river water monitoring, real-time river water monitoring is one of the factors to control water pollution. And regarding marine pollution, so we are near to Kanyakumari and Thoothukudi. Marine pollution is one of the major causes where the marine is getting polluted. That is due to sewage sludge, industrial effluent, detergent, solid waste, and plastic dumping in and around seashores. And sources where river bring pollutants from drainage basin, and effects are fishes show mortality. So these are the causes. And control measures. How can we control pollution in marine zones? By proper or periodical monitoring in discharging treated effluents. So in this slide, global environmental monitoring stations, monitoring of Indian national aquatic resources. So some of the organizations, offices are there, such as ISRO, DRDO. Those organizations directly monitoring seashores all around the country where marine pollution is being controlled. And then thermal pollution, one of the major factor, and causes of thermal pollution are due to excess heat production from industries and power plants. As India is running largest number of thermal power plants, as we are nearby Thuthukudi thermal power plant, where the entire Tirunelveli is getting electricity from Thuthukudi thermal power plant and Kudangulam nuclear power plant. And here their respective effects were given. Control of thermal pollution. So how can we control thermal pollutions? That is due to cooling ponds, cooling towers, and spray ponds. As the entire municipal sewage is water is treated, and the treated water should be used in a proper way, such as used for cooling towers or maybe used for spraying ponds. And then noise pollution, as we are familiar that noise pollution is one of the predominant one, that is due to heavy noise, as a rise in decibel will lead to noise pollution, and vehicular rise in decibel scale will leads to noise pollution. And their sources are due to transportation, heavy machinery, construction activities, celebration, and household appliances. This is one of the major factor where the permissible decibel levels were given. Regarding industrial, morning 6 to 10 p.m. 75 decibel is acceptable. During night time, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. 70 decibel is acceptable. Regarding commercial buildings, 65 decibel in daytime, 55 decibel in night time. And residential decibel range is 55 for daytime, 45 for night time. And silence zone, this zone is for hospital areas. It is 50 decibel in daytime, 40 decibel in night time. Control measures are proper using of specialized equipments. Regarding nuclear or radioactive hazard, as India have 12 nuclear power plants, which is the largest in Asia. And, in this case, proper precaution is essential for controlling nuclear pollution, and their effects are controlling disposal. Regarding soil pollution, that is due to NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and which is to be controlled. And in case of thermal power plants residue fly ash, it should be disposed of in a well planned manner. As in the Thuthukudi thermal power plant, excess amount of fly ash is emitted, and in MGR CM's period, this fly ash compound is used as raw material for a major of construction works, such as building fly ash bricks, framing fly ash bricks, and in some other construction activities, this waste residue from thermal power plants are utilized for construction works. And effects and control. So soil is to be periodically changed. As we can give an example, um, when rice is cultivated for 3 months, for 2 month period, some other grains may be planted, such as chili and vegetables, uh, may change the nature of soil. And solid waste and its management, where solid waste is to be separated based on biodegradability and non-biodegradability, and the components considering under biodegradable are vegetable waste, food waste, leaf, egg shells, dry leaves, and in case of non-biodegradable, it is polythene bag, glass bottle, scrap metal, tin, so electronic waste. And effects of solid waste are, as a solid waste has been littered in and around streets, which is to be uh, burned, where heavy metals may be collected and it may be taken to incinerator, where in those zones pollutions may be controlled. And regarding management of solid waste, 3R may be followed: reduce, reuse, recycle. And incineration is one of the factor which is to be practiced. And regarding leachate, collection of leachate from municipal sewage unit, uh, it is one of the predominant factor. And in Tirunelveli, we have a major natural sewage treatment unit, and nearby those natural sewage treatment unit, we have a largest municipal waste landfilling, where the collection of leachate is properly monitored, and it is nearby veterinary college. So if time permits, we can visit our natural sewage treatment unit and leachate collection system, which is doing an extraordinary work in Tirunelveli region, which is in town Ramayanpatti. And we can go on household composting for our household municipal solid waste, such as food wastes, papers, dust. We can compost in our household zone. And then major pollution levels in all those aspects should be controlled. And the major governmental organization favoring the pollution controls are State Pollution Control Board and Central Pollution Control Board. And role of individual in pollution prevention, and this is one of the major factor which every individual should follow, as think globally, act locally, use eco-friendly products, use rechargeable batteries, no to excess pesticide, chemical, paint and solvents, and then use less or only required quantity of resources, and then plant more trees in specific local species which will grow faster, and then best from waste. Waste minimization should be practiced. And this is all about uh, environmental pollution. And